In one of my worst showcases last week at UFC Vegas 107, I went 4-5 on predictions overall, but somehow we still managed to cash the Locky two-step with the asterisk of the fact that it was only one leg, as Aaron Blanchfield was the second step in the Locky two-step, which I still felt pretty damn good about. That leg gets avoided. Zach Reese ends up hitting, so we end up hitting a minus two. I believe it was a minus 235 or minus 205 favorite at that point in time. Sorry, minus 235 is what I had parlayed him at. So we cash on that. But the Locky Trinity does not come through, as Macy Casson ends up losing to Ketlin Vieira. And I'll be honest, I still have yet to watch pretty much every fight from Defel Filho versus Alan Nascimento and later. I was out of town, wasn't able to watch the fights, and considering how poorly I did on the event, I just haven't watched it back yet. So I'll just wait until these fighters compete again, and then I'll do my research at that point. But as of right now, I'm just trying to get past last week. It was a bad week. Let's see if we can switch it around this week. So got a decent Locky two-step and Locky Trinity for you guys. A little bit of a chalk-heavy card. I believe 11 of the 13 fights are what I would consider chalk, and that's minus 185 or wider. So it's tough to find that combination that I feel confident enough in terms of dropping as this Locky two-step and Locky Trinity. But I feel like I did a decent job in terms of parlaying the spots that I have more confidence in and taking the odds into consideration as well. So as a reminder, I always drop the Locky two-step and Locky Trinity parlay earlier in fight week, so my subscribers are able to get the better odds compared to more often than not when I drop it to the public on Thursdays of fight week. They're obviously been taking some action and we're getting less odds than when I originally locked it in. So you'll see that a little bit. It's not a huge difference this time around, but still a little bit of a difference. All right, let's get right into it. First step up in the Locky two-step is going to be Sergey Spivak as he takes on Waldo Cortez Acosta, clear grappler versus striker matchup here, but I don't think the striking advantage nor the somewhat athletic advantage of Cortez Acosta is going to cause Spivak too much trouble. I think Spivak will be able to get into the pocket. I think he'll be able to get his hands around Cortez Acosta and eventually get him to the ground where he does his best work. And I still think Cortez Acosta has some issues in that grappling realm, and Spivak will be the best grappler that he's faced since Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who was able to have solid success against Cortez Acosta there. So look for Spivak to get those takedowns, and I think within 2 rounds he'll be able to wrap up the submission, but I really like Spivak as the first step in the Locky two-step. Now, the second step, we're going to turn our attention to the co-main event with Kayla Harrison as she takes on Juliana Pena, and I was able to lock that in, or that leg in at minus 600 earlier this week. She's clearly taken a lot of action over the last couple of days, and I think that she'll do a great job in terms of just dominating Juliana Pena, right? Pena normally utilizes her grappling and her strength to overcome her opponents, but that's exactly what Harrison does, and it's clear that Harrison is the stronger, bigger, and more dominant fighter once fights end up hitting the ground. I think we'll see Harrison do a good enough job in terms of wearing Pena down, and then from there, she should be able to find that position to muster up and land some significant damage. I think she ends up getting the TKO finish, but as long as she gets that belt strapped around her waist by the end of the night, that means we more than likely cashed our Locky two-step. Now, earlier this week, I was able to lock this parlay in at minus 102. As of right now, it's a couple points wider at minus 106. Now, turning our attention to the Locky Trinity, if we're looking to complete it here with the third step, we're going to go one fight past the co-main event and focus on the main event with Merab Dvalishvili taking on Sean O'Malley, looking to defend his title successfully for the second time since winning the title off of O'Malley back in September. I'm expecting that we're going to see Dvalishvili utilize his usual style of just high pace, high pressure, high output, and that's going to end up muzzling O'Malley just as it did in their first matchup. There were some close rounds, but I think for the most part, Dvalishvili should be able to get off on his game. Not a lot of people have many answers for it. We saw O'Malley have some decent answers in the third round of their fight. He won the fifth round unanimously, but Dvalishvili's pace, pressure, and output is just too much for a lot of opponents. And I think he still has another 2 to 4 dominant performances left in him before his age starts catching up and starts hacking away at his, just his overall athleticism, cardio, and durability, which has allowed him to get to the top of this bantamweight division. So I'm expecting him to get his hand raised here by decision. And I was able to lock this parlay in at plus 171 earlier this week. Now you're looking at plus 167. A lot of that due to the action coming in on Kayla Harrison, which was obviously, bound to happen. And another reason, again, why jumping onto the Patreon page and getting these parlays earlier in the week, especially with some of these chalkier favorites, they only get chalkier as the fight week goes on. So another positive. And, hopefully we can talk about how we catch this ticket next week, but I'm feeling pretty damn good about it and thinking we're going to get our tickets cashed here. All right, I'll be back tomorrow for the prop drop for UFC 316. See you guys then. Peace.